residential tech talk evangelist, lighting specialist. Hello and welcome to the new episode of Residential Tech Talks. My name is Anthony Elio, Associate Editor at Residential Tech Today. Now today we're going to be featuring a great conversation that I had earlier this year for a cover feature with Joe Perry. You might know him as the guitar player from Aerosmith. I know personally I was so excited about this conversation. I've basically been an Aerosmith fan most of my life, and I actually got to see them about a decade ago. So to be able to talk to him about everything from audio technology to their Vegas residency to even his work with Hollywood vampires pretty recently was very exciting for me. So without further ado, here is our exclusive interview with Joe Perry. Perfect. Thank you. How's it going today, Joe? I'm doing very well, man. I'm working from home today, which means a lot more relaxed than usual. Pretty much. Oh yeah, like so many of these offices nowadays you can just do totally remote, and it's like just the wonder of modern tech.
Yeah, that's I hear a lot more about that. You know, people being able to work out of their house. You know. It's kind of, oddly enough, it's kind of like what the Las Vegas thing is. You know, being actually able to drive 5 minutes to the gig, do your show, and then drive back, and you don't have to travel. You know, whenever I play in Boston, that's the one time I get to like sleep in my own bed that night after a show. And I always, you know, thought, well, it's a great thing to do, you know, after all the years of traveling and all that. And so doing the Vegas thing, it really turned out to be, after doing the first leg, you know, doing the first 3 weeks of it, everybody said, you know, like, you're going to love it because you don't have to travel. And I said, yeah. But, you know, I don't know how this is going to go, but sure enough, you know, after doing it, it was great. You know, not having to think about packing, and, you know, moving up the bus or whatever, or flying, whatever it takes to get to the next show. You know, so that's funny. I think you mentioned that, you know, working from home. It's like as close as I'm going to get, unless, you know, I'm working on an album, you know, and we're working out of our own studios, you know, which is also kind of like working at home.
Yeah, or unless you like ever throw, you know, nice concert in the backyard, I guess that'd be pretty work from home.
Yeah.
If that ever comes up.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
and speaking,
that's good. I mean, you know, I think that people, you have to have a certain amount of discipline. I found that to be really true. That was in the basement, you know, my house. You know, you have to still have that. Okay, I'm shifting gears. I'm not at home. I got to work. You know, so if you have that discipline, then it's a great thing. You know, I know some people have tried it. And, you know, they find that they're not as productive. You know, they feel kind of like they feel like they get a little lazy being at home. So they need that time in the car or to get to the gig or whatever to get in that headspace. But I haven't had any problem with that. You know, fortunately, you know, so I get that best of both sometimes.
Definitely, and you know, kind of speaking of the residency, that was actually going to be part of my first question. I was really curious about kind of the audio and video tech that you guys ended up using for that.
Well, I can't speak so much to the video, except it's probably the biggest back screen that I've ever seen, and the quality is incredible. So I don't know. All I know is the latest greatest video equipment, and I'm not sure how many cameras it is, but it's a full-on production. We've never done anything like it before, and we wanted it to be up to the standards of like what some of the other shows are in Vegas. So we wanted to put the best stuff up we could. But as far as the audio goes, it's actually, the sound system is licensed by THX. It's got that logo up on the screen before we go on. It's got the audiences listening, and that huge ascending orchestra sound thing there that they do. It goes from way up top all the way down to the bottom, and it shakes the place. And so that's the so it's been licensed by THX. So it's definitely got that quality of sound. And for the average concert, like say in an arena or a small festival, it's usually like 50 speakers, 25 or 30 to a side. And this show, it's a 5,000 seat arena, and there are 320 speakers all around. There's complete true 360 surround sound. So when you're in the audience, you feel like you're literally sitting on the stage with the band. So that's one thing that we're really aware of, and adjusting how we play a little bit for that as far as the sound goes. But that's definitely something that we've had a lot of comments about from people who've seen the show about how the sound is. Never heard sound like that, and there's one part of the show where I have to go up because I don't use the earplug things, ear monitors, and there's one part of the show where I'm kind of a long ways from the drums, and the sound is like almost a full second delay. So when Joey hits the drum, it's almost a full second before I hear it. So it's just impossible for me to play to that. So I had to actually use one of those earplugs, and I don't know how guys can do it, but I'm just old school. I love hearing the sound of the band and the amps, real thing, and not hearing it, like in my ears, wedged, with those earplugs. But the main thing is I can hear the audience, and I can hear people shouting, and I can hear people, I can watch people's reaction to things. So I think that's the biggest thing I would miss about having to use those ear monitors.
Yeah,
that's a little side thing there. It's a little bit technical, but if you're a singer, I think it's probably about the best thing that's ever come along, because you can really find the pitch and all that. But for me, I want to hear the band, I want to hear, and I want to hear the audience. So anyway, so we sorted that out. But other than that, the production and the technical end of it is really amazing. I mean, when I look around from certain parts of the venue, and I see, like, when you see in the back, you see like say where they mix the sound. There's like a bunch of guys up there with the board, and there's big lights on, and you can see they're up there working, they're doing something. Or where the lights are, the guys that are running the lights, there's like a little circle of light. There's like usually 3 or 4 guys up there working on the lights. And there's probably 5 or 6 of those areas in the arena, even in this small arena, to run everything between all the moving trusses and all the different lights, and how it's all put together with the computers and everything. The band is still the band. We're playing live, and like we always do, it's like you just took the band out of any arena and just stuck us on the stage. But all the production that's going on around us is stuff we've never done before. So it's a lot of fun.
Definitely. And You know, something I was really curious about is, with all your experience with audio tech, when you're really looking for, your personal audio tech, whether it's for performing or listening, what's your number one priority?
Um, you mean as far as equipment goes, or as far as like finding somebody to what do you mean audio tech?
For any kind of, sound equipment, any of your guitar tech, what is generally your number one priority?
Um, well, I think that, are you talking about a person or equipment?
Oh, in terms of equipment.
Well, it's pretty much I want to hear things as natural as they can be, and or as organic as it can be. Like take an electric guitar, for instance. I think that a big part of the sound of electric guitar as we know it and what it's evolved to, the amplifier and the speakers are a big part of it. And I know there's a trend towards going towards like digital modeling, when you can adjust the controls digitally so it can sound just like you're playing in a concert hall. It can sound just like you're playing in a small club, or you can get just like a Marshall, just like a Fender. And first of all, we already have Fenders, we already have Marshalls, and they sound great. So I can see the need for something like that for the versatility. And I use everything in the studio. There's no wrong way to do it. There's no bad things. There's just different ways. But I tend to lead towards the most organic and natural way things sound. So when I'm in the studio, I very rarely use anything that plugs directly into the board unless I'm going for a certain effect. But for straight up like guitar sounds, I use like amplifiers and wires, and that's it. So that's kind of and spreading out from there. Like say, for instance, the keyboard player, Buck Johnson, plays with Aerosmith and the Vampires. He has a big Hammond organ, one of the new ones. It's basically a digital, sampler kind of thing. And I've said, man, we got to get the real thing. So I went out and I found 1968 Hammond B3, like one of the old workhorses that we all used to hate because they have to lug them around, but where nothing else sounds like them. So I bought one of those. And I said, every chance you get, you can use this instead of the new one. I don't know if I could really hear a difference, but I know that he plays it with more energy because of the way it feels. The way the keys feel, the way that they respond to how he's playing. When he gets the thing walking, there's a vibe to it. And I think it's not just the sound, I think it's the way it feels that he's playing. So, we go for that every time.
Yeah. And, something that's really grown in the past few years is kind of the smart home. Everything is kind of connected within the home, especially, through hubs like Alexa. You got smart speakers like that. Do you generally get into that kind of tech?
No. No, we don't have. I mean, we have like a restaurant thing to the TV, but other than that, kind of like light switches. So I can see. I mean, it's fun. Sometimes we'll stay in a hotel room that has some of that stuff, and or else be at somebody's house and seeing how they can program this and program the lights to happen and stuff. But I don't know. I'm always thinking, what's going to happen when the computer crashes? You're kind of stuck,
Definitely. And, I know you'd mentioned earlier, did you say that you had a home studio as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a studio in the basement. I mean, most everybody I know now that has, has some kind of studio, because the pretty much standard way of recording now is with a computer. So it depends on how what your standards are or what your taste is. I mean, some of the best music that's people charge and people love has been recorded on really like kind of low tech equipment. I mean, that Alanis Morissette record, for instance, came out and sold 25 million in about 4 months. It was recorded on a couple of ADATs, which was like an 8-track digital recorder. And it's kind of it was one of those pieces of equipment that kind of had its day, but people kind of moved on. There were other ways to do that kind of thing more efficiently, and so it's more about what your taste is and how it's all in your ears and how you listen to it and how it responds and if it works. I mean, let's face it, most people listen to music with earbuds that come with the equipment that they have, or like in their cars, and the car stereos are pretty amazing now compared to what they used to be, and it's pretty easy to get a really good sounding stereo system, to be honest. But I think most people listen to music when they're traveling or when they're like in their car or whatever, and or at a party, or it's still more or less background music. I remember when we would get the new Deep Purple record, you'd pick up the plastic, set it down, budding musicians back then would all sit down and analyze the record. But most people it was kind of background music, and maybe the hit would come on and people would get up and dance to it or whatever, but that was it. So it's really like, you have to think about how people are listening to your music. And if you're really spending too much time worrying about the technology and not spending enough time on writing a song. So I think that's kind of the danger. There's so many different ways you can go now with the technology and the way you record, and not spending enough time actually crafting a really good song. And so I have a studio in the basement, and I have an old knee board. It's a broadcast quality from 1970, but then we use the computer. I have a tape machine, but with the computer you can take the drive out, bring it to another studio, or plug it in and work on the same session. It's so much, the convenience of it just outweighs the benefit of the sound. But I think I can tell the difference between something that's been recorded in tape and something that's been recorded on digital. I think I've never actually done a real hard with that, but there's definitely a feel to music that's been recorded on tape, and but it's just so it's not as convenient. You can move so much faster, and your creativity can explode in a way with computing it just takes so long to get to with digital. I mean, with tape and analog. I think the industry has really shifted over.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that there's been a trend on with vinyl. I definitely think you can hear the difference with vinyl.
Well, we hope you've been enjoying today's episode of Residential Tech Talks. We thought we'd take a brief break here and acknowledge today's sponsor, which is Sonos. Listen your way. Sonos is known for their incredibly innovative audio technology, such as their newest speaker, the Move. Make sure to check them out at sonos.com. Kind of segueing from that, I know that there's a new Hollywood Vampires album coming out here at the end of June, kind of late June. How does it differ from your guys' debut record?
Well, the first record was the inspiration for it was the Hollywood Vampires Drinking Club, and the fact that Alice Cooper is probably the only member of that small group is still alive, and I guess and Johnny were talking about it, and guess they had. I'm not exactly sure who had the idea, but the point is they wanted to do a record that was a kind of an homage to all the people that died, and the music that they left behind was so great. So that was really the main thing about that record was to cover those songs that those people are still living with us through that music. So it was great to be part of that. But I think that when the band got on the road, it actually started playing. And again, it was for the fun of it because we all liked each other's, work and got along great and everything. We realized that there was more to the band and the personalities that were in the band. There was more to it than just covering songs. So we felt like the next chance when we get that we had the time to go in and start writing some songs and maybe come up with an album. And sure enough, the ball got rolling last year, and over the course of a couple of months, we fleshed out an album. Except for 2 songs, they're all original. So then we're going to get out and try them all. Last tour we played probably 5 or 6 of the songs live, and this short tour of 6 or 7 dates, we're going to play probably 50-60% of the album, 70%. I'm not sure if I have to count, but hold on, I'll get the set list right here.
Oh, cool.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 songs on here for the record.
Oh, nice.
So, and then we've got a couple on here that are still from the last record that we really got a kick out of playing live, and really had a lot of fun playing, and there's a couple Alice Cooper songs on here. I think there'll be there might be an Aerosmith song on there. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I'd rather play something new from the new Vampires record, frankly. But I don't know. We might throw something in there.
Totally.
Once we get into the rehearsal, we'll know for sure. But this is the set list, and it's pretty playing all. I think some of the best stuff off the new record.
Definitely, and I'm hoping to see you guys. I know you guys are coming to Denver on that tour, so I'm hoping to see you guys that night as well. I'm really excited to check it out. And just kind of wrapping up here, one question I really was curious about is, you spent all these decades, playing and recording music, seeing the music industry change. Technology-wise, what do you think has been the biggest change overall in terms of sound equipment, audio equipment, and how that's all been working?
Well, again, I think it's easier to get a higher quality sound reproduction. I think that people are used to hearing like a lot more hi-fi. If you get in a car, I have a 1970 442, just a just regular, like, it's just been it's got new tires on it. It's got the stereo in it that it came with. And it's like, it's mono, and it's got a little 8-inch speaker in the dashboard. And if you can get anything on the radio, it sounds pretty bad. You know, I mean, it's staticky and but that's what we used to listen to music on back then. And now, I mean, I don't think you can get in any car and not hear half decent music. You know, I mean, and of course, if you get one with a little bit better stereo, I mean, it kicks ass. You know, and of course, you can always add to that. People have always done that, but generally speaking, I think that people are used to hearing really good sound in their car and in the earbuds. Again, it didn't exist years ago, but the music sounds pretty full range. So I think that's probably one of the best things that come along. It doesn't cost that much to get a really good home stereo. You know, it sounds better than half decent. You know, you can hear everything. You can hear the bridge, you can hear the car. So I think that's probably been the biggest change. And so I think that we've lost a little bit in, like I said, with going to digital recording, and also, but I don't think people miss it. You know, never hearing like totally everything's still recorded analog. People aren't going to miss it. They're hearing the bass, they're hearing the things they want to hear, they're hearing the vocals. So they'll take the little cut of quality that this is. You know, but like I said, I definitely noticed the difference when I listen to a vinyl, a vinyl recording. Nice big chunk of plastic. It reproduces sound like, especially for rock and roll, in a way that digital just can't. You know, I think I'm sure there's people now that would sit in a room and argue with me about it. And you know what? If I had to sit down and really do like a blindfold test, I might get fooled, but I think that there definitely is a feeling that you get from stuff that's recorded analog. So I don't know. I think that's probably that's one thing that's changed. And again, the other thing is like say this Vampires record. I don't think we could have done it with as much and had it be have it done as fast as it did if we were recording in analog, because we would have had to be shipping tape back and forth. It would have taken a lot longer, let's put it that way. And when you got guys that sometimes you can't get everybody in the studio at once, that's a really big that's a handicap if you're recording directly to tape. You can't get the guys in the studio, you can't record them. But if you can send the tape somewhere, you can record, or you can just send a hard drive. Then you've got probably a third of all the recording I've done in the last few years has been that kind of recording. Somebody sending me a hard drive, or going into a studio and having a hard drive there. I'll lay a guitar down, or with vocals, in another studio, and you don't have to get a 24-track machine, set the bias up and all that. And again, it could be done, but the convenience of it really outweighs the sound that you get. So I think that's the biggest change, for good or for worse.
Yeah, definitely, and it kind of makes it so you don't even have to be in the same room to record so many different parts, as opposed to 30, 40 years ago.
You get time for a good story?
Oh, do I have time?
Do you have time for a good story?
Oh, always.
Okay, I was working on Johnny asked me to play some guitar on a movie that he was working on last, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago. And I was over here and working in his studio with him and his and the director, and just putting a couple of guitar tracks on some of the music, and we were done. I off and on for a couple of weeks. I just took a few guitar tracks on it, and I said bye, and everybody went their ways. And I had been out here in California for a while, and I wanted to get back to see my wife in Florida, and where we live. And so I flew back, got off the plane, and landed in Tampa, and I'm driving to my house. And 10 minutes before I get to the house, my cell phone rings, and it's the director of the movie, and he's in London. And he said, "Joe, can you record a guitar track for me? It didn't transfer, and so we lost it. So can you record it?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know where there's a studio here. I live in a kind of a small town in Florida, and I didn't know of a studio I could go in." I said, I'll look around and see if I can find a studio." And he said, "No, I mean right now." And I said, "Hey man, I just got off the plane. I haven't even gone home yet." And he said, "Just give me 5 minutes." So 5 minutes later, he called me back, and he said, "I found you a studio, and the guys will be there in 20 minutes." And I said, "You got to be kidding." He said, "No, I'll call you there in the studio." And he gave me the address. So I went home. Obviously, I kissed my wife, kissed Billy, dropped off my luggage, turned around and went to the studio. And he was in London, and he sent the tracks over to the computer, here in Florida. And I recorded the guitar tracks. He was on the phone, listening to it. He could have been in the other room for all intents and purposes. And so I redid the tracks. And took about an hour or two once we got the technical end of it done, and then I went home. So that was probably the quickest example of how you can use the new technology. I mean, if I hadn't have picked up my cell phone, he wouldn't have got to me, and he probably would have got me the next day or whatever. But if you really needed, he was in the studio at that point. He needed it soon. So anyway, so that happened, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that like remote office we were talking about too. That's crazy how you can put that together, and that probably only took just a couple of hours. You said? Yeah,
from the time he called me, the first phone call, as I was driving home from the airport, to the time I was actually in the studio with my guitar. It was probably 45 minutes. Because he found the studio, called it up. It was a small commercial studio. The guys were local, and they came in, and this was like 8 o'clock at night, or 9 o'clock at night. And he was lucky enough to track them down. And they met us at the studio and were nice enough to open it up. And like I said, within about 45 minutes or an hour, I had the guitar in my hand, and it took us about an hour and a half or two to finish, putting the tracks in.
Definitely. Oh man, thank you for telling me that story too. I feel like it's gonna be like a perfect fit for this piece too. That's kind of a perfect bookend.
Well, I don't know if you could use it, but anyway, since you're a techie, I figure you'd appreciate that.
As a techie and a musician, I definitely appreciate that these days.
Yeah. Thanks for the interview.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and hopefully I'll see you here in a couple of weeks or so to up on stage here at the Fillmore. Right on. Well, have a great rest of the day, and I'll make sure to send over some copies once it's all done.
Okay, man. We'll see you then.
Right on. Have a good one, Joe. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Residential Tech Talks. I hope you enjoyed listening to me speak with Joe Perry as much as I enjoyed actually having this discussion with him. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, whatever platform you use, and check us out on our official website, restechtoday.com.